Welcome back to another episode of Hangin with Mr. Francis podcast. I'm your host, Mr. Francis, and this is episode 31. Now, before I give the name of this podcast episode, I just want to give a shout out to our sponsor, and we appreciate being sponsored by Bold and Wonderful Digital Art Prints. That is Bold and Wonderful Digital Art Prints. They are a digital store that is through Etsy.com where they sell digital art prints. They don't ship or sell anything that is already framed or whatever. It's basically just digital art prints for an affordable price. They're pretty cool. They have multiple options. I think their catalog is growing each time. And they basically provide you with the option to purchase a digital art print and then you send it to wherever you want it to get printed and framed and so forth. So check them out at boldandwonderful.ca. That is their website link. That will bring you directly to their Etsy store where they sell their digital art prints and you can download and print. Very easy and very affordable. So check them out. We appreciate being sponsored by them. And again, that's boldandwonderful.ca, which will bring you to their store at etsy.com. Now, on to the episode. So this episode took me a minute, as I mentioned in the previous episode. I'm going to be tackling a few things, but I think this one is going to be a continuation from the previous episode in some sort of a way. And the last episode, episode 30, was BU. Now this episode of episode 31 is going to be called Social Media Fakes. Yeah, it's in the title, Social Media Fakes. It's pretty self-explanatory, but I'm going to give my 2 cents on the whole situation. So, as usual, I try to keep this podcast as short as possible because people's attention span, I guess, has diminished. And I'm not an interesting person, I guess. So, I'm working my way up, taking baby steps. I'm not judging myself in any way, shape, or form, but I'm just being real. Got to be a realist on things and just face the facts. So, I try to keep this as short and sweet as possible. So like the title says, the episode about social media fakes. And what I'm trying to get into is that if you take a moment, just take a step back and observe, which I like to do. I'm a very observant person. And observe all the content that people you know, not just people you know, but like influencers and certain people on social media, just accounts in general. And not everyone falls under this category of what I'm going to talk about, but plenty of people do. And the fact is, people sell themselves out. They sell themselves out because they want to attain that perfect looking lifestyle that they portray online. And before I get into that, I was watching a Netflix special of a comedian. And at the end, he said some real shit. And sometimes you got to hear certain things to reflect on for yourself, but also understand that this is really going on in society. Unfortunately, it's not something that's talked about a lot. And what he was referring to is that he's a comedian. He tells jokes, but at the end of the day, he gets on stage, tells his jokes, and while he's doing that, and it's a lot of people's jobs, they do things, they put on a smile and so forth, but you don't know what's going on in their life. Like, he was going through a lot of stuff, people passing and things like that. And that's kind of like what social media is in a way, where people will put on this act, this show to try to gain followers, being fake and everything like that, or to so forth. Instead of being genuine, they don't do that. So they have to fake it till they make it. Now, there's a certain amount of fake that you would do to make it. Like, let's be real, that's the way our society has gone. You have to somewhat be a little kind of fake, not a whole 100%. You kind of have to be a little 10 to 20% fake to attain followers and so forth. And what I mean by that is you might have to do certain things, sell yourself a little short by doing ads and stuff like that. You got to pay for ads and you got to do certain things. There's a few other things that you might have to do just to get people to watch your content or whatever, like such as clickbait. If you notice, anyone who's watched YouTube, you notice that they have thumbnails where people are doing some weird shit in their pictures to get people to just click their video. I don't know if I'll ever go down that route. I never say never, but I don't feel like I need to do that. I try to make whatever content I make speaks for itself. I don't need to put like a headline title like, "Oh, the world's crazy, click here," or whatever, and have myself in a picture doing some random shit. And that's kind of like what I'm referring to, where it's like there's certain amount of fake you have to do in a sense, but then some people take it beyond. So I never really got into TikTok ever, and running small business on the side and so forth, you kind of have to get into this whole social media things. And I was like, for the longest time, like I never got into Snapchat, I never got into Vine. I heard they're great apps and stuff like that, but I just never got into it. There's reasons for that, which I will tackle in other episodes. But TikTok being the most recent one over the last couple of years, previously known as Musical.ly, but then I guess they got bought out and rebranded to TikTok, and it just took off from there. And the one thing I realized with TikTok is every time you open that shit, everybody's following some kind of trend, being fake. And to double back to what I said earlier with what the guy said, where sometimes you don't know what people are going on in life. A lot of people are on here doing all types of shit, but they're dying on the inside, and they lie to themselves continuously, day in and day out. That fake shit, like that's where you go too much of being fake. You gotta minimize that shit, right? You still gotta be yourself, but at the same time, you really have to be genuine with it. And there's a lot of social media fakes going around, and a lot of them just don't understand, and I will never understand. Like, I get it, but I don't understand why people have to stoop that low just to get where they gotta get to. Now, like I said in the previous episode, if that's the route you want to take, go ahead. Just know that what comes with it is not going to be pretty, right? A lot of times people will be on there doing all types of stuff. Like I've seen people who are probably going through a lot of shit in life, but yet for some reason they're on social media with this big smile on their face, and their life is crumbling around them. And I don't know what you need to put on a show and act for people out there, because I'm going to be so fucking honest right now. A lot of people don't give a shit. Don't give a shit. So it's like, for you to be out there putting on so much of a fake thing for people to accept you, it's wild to me, because a lot of times a high percentage of those people that you're putting on the show for don't give a shit, right? And I've learned this in the sense of starting a small business, and to be quite honest, you're not going to get the same type of love that you would expect to get from people because they don't give a shit. Sometimes they don't give a shit, or they don't want to see you do better than them. You know that old saying, they want to see you do good, but never better than them, right? And there's that fake aspect of shit. People always act like whatever. But you see, what always ends up happening is when you reach that certain height of success or just accomplishment, sometimes those people will come around acting like they give a shit about you. And that comes with the premise. Unfortunately, it comes with it. But the thing is, what I'm referring to in this episode is that social media has allowed a lot of us to become fake. We're not being real with ourselves, and that's gonna have a long-term effect on society as a whole. We can already see the cracks in it. We can already see it, right? A lot of people are suffering from depression, having suicidal thoughts, right? Because all the time you see all this glamorous things online of people living this lavish lifestyle, and let's be real, that's awesome if you want to show that and so forth, but it's like you're sacrificing your happiness on a whole, like you really are, because you're putting all the good shit out there, People will never show the bad side of things, and obviously no one wants to see the bad side of things, but you kind of have to have the mixture of both. You can't just have a one-sided thing where you just show everything being great. To be honest, we don't even know if it's great, because a lot of times people will rent out a space or rent those fake airplanes, just take a picture and make it look like they're living a lavish life, when really and truly they're not. Right? That whole fake it till you make it thing, it's like it comes with a cost. As I said, you kind of have to give a little bit of fake and not a lot of it, because it ruins you. And we see this ongoing problem in society right now where everybody, I wouldn't say everybody, but a large percentage of people are suffering in silence. But they step on this social media platform looking for that dopamine effect of, oh, I get all these likes or whatever. And to be honest, when you do certain things, you're being an entrepreneur, you run a small business and so forth, and things aren't going your way, it can be very discouraging. I, for one, have dealt with this on multiple occasions. But you kind of have to have a strong mindset to do these things. But the thing is that we've allowed ourselves to become such a fake society that we give in to this whole rhetoric of just being fake 24/7, 365, and then that shit just eats away at us day in and day out. We don't understand why we feel this way, but to be honest, you know, right? I used to love this social media thing when it first came out, but then as the time goes on, you start to realize it's almost, for me, it's almost as if 90% of shit that I see online is fake. I can't even believe everything I say, right? Even people close to you seem like they're living the greatest life, but really and truly, they're probably like knee deep in debt. They're probably like going through a divorce or whatever it is, but for whatever reason, they make it seem like everything is great, right? And it shouldn't be like that, because then you see someone else comes in, they see this and they're like, they want to attain this, but not knowing what's underneath the surface and what it took to get there, because people are just being social media fakes. Really and truly, there's a lot of social media fakes out there. And I made this episode because I wanted to lend this to the ear of someone who's trying to listen, is you don't have to be super fake to make something of yourself. You have to balance being real and then sprinkling a little fake, because unfortunately it comes with the premise of social media. You kind of have to sprinkle a little fakeness in there, but you can't do it every single time and lie to yourself, because let's be real, a lot of people lie to themselves. They think they're happy, but really and truly, you're not. You're not. Let's be real. You are not happy. But if you are, that's awesome, because then you've understand your threshold of how much you can take and what you can give and what you can get and so forth and all that rhetoric. Now, the last thing to close out is, I don't think it's going to get any better. I really don't. These platforms need to hold themselves accountable for what monster they've created with this whole social media fake shit. And they won't hold themselves accountable because they see so much potential to gain from this whole thing, because all they care about is profits. It's like these big corporations. They could be turning $1 million more than the previous year before. But then at the same time, they don't really care about anything else other than the next year, where they're like, okay, I want to make another million. And there's nothing wrong with that mindset. But then at the same time, it's like you're killing people just to attain that extra million, right? It's not like you're doing it to help anyone. You're doing it to help yourself. And this is where we've come. We've come to the point where we're willing to kill each other or be so fake to each other just to attain that next level of success. And is it really success? That's the real question you should ask yourself, because you can be totally fake, but then it's like, when you reach that point, is it worth it? Do you enjoy it? I personally don't think so, right? I really don't. But if you make it to that point and you're happy, then congrats to you. But I personally don't think it comes with anything. Like they say, money don't buy you happiness. It really don't. It's the experiences in life that brings you joy and happiness. Being there for your loved ones, seeing, a father myself, seeing your kids grow, being there for your partner, your spouse, just being there for your family, the ones that genuinely care, and being there for the loved ones of the ones that really do care about you and you care about them. That's the main thing. And this is what I always try to put out there, is that is the most important thing. We got to stop being fake online. I know it's not going to stop anytime soon. It's just going to get worse before it could possibly get better. But hey, we don't know what tomorrow holds. Every day we wake up is a blessing. So I just want to close this out now and say thank you for all the views that people have been pouring into this podcast channel. And I appreciate everyone and anyone who has followed me on this journey. As I mentioned, it's going to get better. I have more content. I'm going to try to get more guests on. But to close this off, stop being fake, people. Try to be a little bit more real than being fake. And if you feel like you're not being fake, well, maybe you need to take a look in the mirror and figure that out. Thanks for joining me for episode 31, Social Media Fakes. I'll see you in the next podcast episode. Take care.